Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we are breaking down an absolutely fascinating corporate case. We're looking at the core events from Office Drama Stories episode 013, and we are going to examine the exact anatomy of a workplace conflict. Specifically, how meticulous, quiet preparation can completely dismantle a calculated corporate betrayal. Look, if you have ever dealt with toxic office politics, the dynamic we're about to unpack is going to feel incredibly, maybe even uncomfortably familiar to you. We have to start with this brilliant guiding principle from Maya Chen, the main character at the center of our source material. She asks, what changed, who changed it, and who benefits? I want you to keep that question in the back of your mind throughout our whole explainer today. Why? Because as this story so beautifully illustrates, when toxic people try to control the narrative, the absolute smallest, most boring record often becomes the loudest witness in the room.
Section 1. The Culture of Suspicion.
To really understand the stakes here, you have to picture the incredibly tense atmosphere at a company called Northbridge Strategy. They just went through this massive HR investigation involving frozen spreadsheets, stolen credit, the whole shebang. And the result? The office didn't become honest. It just became careful. You've got managers like Claire and Daniel walking on eggshells, carefully watching their words just to avoid liability. But Maya? She's not watching her words. She is watching the evidence. And honestly, that difference in strategy changes absolutely everything.
Section 2. The Stolen Preparation Notes. So let's break down exactly how this powder keg ignites. A seemingly tiny detail, a physical, handwritten notebook, is literally weaponized right in the middle of a meeting. First, Maya's private notebook is mysteriously moved to the dead center of the conference table, right before a massive client recovery call. Then, her manager, Claire, actually opens it and starts reading Maya's cautious, risk-assessing prep notes aloud to the entire team. It's so calculated. Claire is subtly shifting the blame for an upcoming project risk directly onto Maya. She's trying to frame her as insecure, overly dramatic, all while letting the silent room just sit there and judge her. But Maya completely refuses to be railroaded here. She fires back with this amazing line. Patterns are useful when they are based on facts. Otherwise, they are just rumors wearing a tie. I mean, wow. It brilliantly illustrates a key dynamic we see in toxic offices all the time. Blame moves incredibly fast because speed protects power. But evidence? Evidence moves a lot slower because it actually has to survive being questioned. Maya just stops the room cold and demands they look at the facts before assigning any blame.
Section 3. Tracing the hidden record.
Now, this is the exact moment where a totally boring IT detail transforms into a smoking gun. Noah from IT joins the meeting and reveals something absolutely crucial. If you look at the default view in their system, everything looks perfectly clean. No warnings visible, nothing. But check the hidden record. Right there is the original event, a glaring, undeniable warning about a delayed data handoff. It wasn't deleted, it was intentionally hidden. This technicality proves without a shadow of a doubt that someone purposely covered their tracks regarding a massive project risk. Well, the second that hidden record is exposed, the managers immediately start backpedaling. Claire and Daniel suddenly retreat into classic corporate speak. They call it process confusion. They suggest they, solve it offline. We all know what offline means, right? It's corporate code for taking the conversation into the shadows, where there's zero audience and zero accountability. But Maya, who is now being backed up by an HR rep named Olivia, demands verifiable facts. They insist on staying online. They are straight up refusing to let the old, shady shortcuts work anymore.
Section 4. The Client Complaint.
You really can't write better timing than this. Right as Claire's desperately trying to brush this whole thing under the rug, external reality just crashes into the meeting. Horizon Retail Group, the actual client, files a live complaint that exactly matches Maya's hidden risk prediction. The delayed data handoff literally explodes in real time. This instantly proves that Maya's private handwritten notes weren't just some paranoid venting. They were vital, highly accurate warnings that everyone else in management actively ignored and then tried to bury.
Section 5. The Turning Point.
At this point, Maya masterfully connects these abstract IT records directed to the manager's calculated betrayal. She lays out the exact sequence for the entire room like a prosecutor. Step 1, the system data was hidden. The record was changed. Step 2, the blame for the resulting mess was preemptively moved onto Maya's quote-unquote insecurity. And Step 3, when confronted, the managers miraculously had a ready-made explanation of process confusion.
Maya proves to everyone sitting at that table that Claire and Daniel knew the answer before they even asked the question. And if that wasn't enough, here comes the absolute killing blow. The client actually steps in and states, "For clarity, I would like Maya's version included in the official record." Boom. This right here makes the truth operationally necessary. The managers cannot dismiss this as some petty internal misunderstanding anymore because external compliance and client trust are now officially on the line. There's no talking their way out of this one. Section 6. Preparation is not weakness. So let's talk about the fallout, because the consequences of refusing to accept a corporate lie are immediate. Ethan, who is higher up in management, steps in and mandates the preservation of all source files. No more informal edits allowed, period. The account is actually saved live on the call, but only, and I mean only, because they use Maya's exact contingency plan. And crucially, Olivia from HR steps up and escalates the entire incident as an official matter. Real accountability finally arrives at Northbridge.
In the quiet, exhausted aftermath of this totally explosive meeting, a coworker named Leo asks a really profound question. He says, "Does it always feel like this when the truth wins?" And Maya's honest reply in the source text is just striking. She says no. Sometimes it actually feels worse before it gets better. But, as she points out, the truth isn't supposed to be comforting. It is supposed to be useful.
Which brings us to the ultimate, overarching takeaway from this entire explainer. Preparation is not weakness. Sometimes it is the only reason a team survives. A workplace doesn't magically become safe just because leadership slaps a nice poster about integrity on the break room wall. It becomes safe when records cannot be quietly rewritten. It becomes safe when careful preparation is treated as a vital shield against toxic behavior, rather than a target on someone's back. So, as we wrap things up today, I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought. Think about your own workplace for a second. How protected are your own records when the blame starts moving? If the spotlight suddenly shifts to you, will your preparation stand up to the pressure? I'm going to leave you to reflect on your own office dynamics with that in mind. Make sure you're keeping your receipts, staying organized, and I'll see you in the next explainer.